Friends, we read in our law book in CGST Act section 37, subsection 5. Can one file GST return for the month if previous month return not filed? No. Answer is no, we cannot. We cannot file. So every month, every return has to be filed. And if there is no transaction, then nil return has to be filed. We cannot miss the returns. So friends, apart from GSTR 1, which is a statement of my outward supplies, my sale, whatever I have done during particular month, we have other returns also under GST. For different type of people, there are different type of returns. So GSTR 1 was for a normal registered person who is not a ISD, who is not a non-resident person, who is not registered under section 10 composite dealer, and who is not dealing with TDS and TCS. Normal tax people, normal tax person supposed to file GSTR 1. Then there is another return, that is GSTR 4. GSTR 4 again a summary of sale by a person who is covered under section 10, and he is also known as composite dealer. So a composite dealer, a person, if you remember during recession presentation we talked about this, the person who is having turnover up to 1.5 crore if he is dealer of goods only, and in services its limit is 50 lakh rupees. So if that is the case, means a person, small businessman who is having turnover up to 1.5 lakh rupees can opt this composite scheme, wherein he will not charge tax to his customer, but on his total sale he will pay 1%, 2% or 5% as the case may be to GST authorities. So this man, composite dealer, will not file return monthly, he will file return quarterly. So on quarterly basis, whatever will be his total turnover, he will calculate his tax liability at the rate of 1%, 2%, 5%, whatever is the case be, and will deposit to the government. And he will file annual return also. And he will file quarterly return, as I told you, in GST composite 08 form, declaring his tax liability, and will file the return by 18th of next month after close of the quarter. So this man has to file 2 returns in a year. One quarterly return every quarter in form GST composite 08, declaring his turnover and paying tax accordingly every quarter by 18th of next month. So if we are talking about April, May, June quarter, he will calculate his total turnover, he will calculate his tax liability at the rate of 1%, 5% as the case may be, and deposit that tax by 18th of next month. But remember, this fellow will not charge any tax in his invoice to his consumer, and he will not get any ITC also on his procurements. For composite dealer, ITC is not available. Then friend, next is GSTR 5. So GSTR 5, this return will contain all business details of non-resident person, means a person who is selling goods or services from outside India to India. So friends, GST is very clear in this aspect that if supplier is outside India but consumption has taken place in India, then supplier from outside India has to pay tax in India either through his representative or he has to open his office in India. Otherwise, he will not be allowed to have business in India. So any non-resident supplier supplying goods from USA to India to its buyer, because he has a market in India, he has to appoint some authorized representative, and his authorized representative will comply with the provisions of GST. So he has also have to file return on monthly basis declaring his sale in India, maybe from USA, and will give all details in this return, and this return must be filed within 7 days after got registration or by 20th of the next month, or monthly return will be filed. Another return is GSTR 6. Input service distributor. I gave you one example where company is procuring goods on behalf of its different units sitting in Bombay at head office. And these goods are actually consumed by different units, but procurement is centralized. So this person, this company, though having separate registration number in Maharashtra for his regular business, he will have to have separate number as ISD for centralized procuring and transferring goods from buyer to directly to its units, has to file monthly return wherein they will declare how many or how much procurement they have done for different offices, different units, and how many or how much invoices they have raised to their units for their procurement on their behalf. So they have to file monthly returns by 13th of the next month. So this format also have complete details regarding inward supplies or outward supplies, and accordingly they will file return. So normally these practices are not very common. Very big corporate houses are using this format of business, but otherwise they are filing GSTR 1. Moving further, friends, there is another return known as GSTR 7. So this return pertains to tax deducted at source. So means when I told you that in case of e-commerce operator, where there are so many vendors on their platform and they are selling goods, and when this e-commerce operator getting payments from their buyer and transferring funds to vendor after deducting its commission and TCS. So this e-commerce operator needs to file their return how much business has been done through this platform. So they are supposed to declare to the government every month by 10th of next month how many or how much amount of tax or how much amount of sale and how much amount of TDS or TCS or how much of commission they have generated. So this form also has set format for information to be provided, and also they are supposed to declare their turnover in GST 1 also, that they have separate column for that. Then GSTR 8, tax collected at source. So if any manufacturer, any buyer, any business house has deducted or collected TCS from their buyer, they will declare to GST government, to the GST portal or authorities, how much TCS they have collected and deposited, and what was the quantum of the volume they generated through this TCS business. Then friends, GSTR 9. Friends, GSTR 9 is the annual return for any businessman having turnover more than 2 crore rupees. So this returns is basically a summary or total of all 12 months. So during the whole year, financial year 24-25 or 23-24, if you have filed 12 GST returns right from April to March, so GSTR 9 will be the summary of GSTR 1. Also, considering debit notes, credit notes, other amendments, rectifications, ITC claimed, ITC used, ITC availed, ITC reversed, everything will be there in GSTR 1, and it is filed monthly. Sorry, it is filed annually after reconciling all your books of accounts. Then friends, there is another statement or return, that is GSTR 9C. Friends, when we are maintaining our books of accounts in corporate sector or otherwise, we are maintaining these records as per accounting standards adopted in the country. And GST law has its own principles. As I told you that in GST, transactions without consideration are also subject to GST. Whereas in accounting standards, transactions without consideration are not treated as a sale. So there is a difference between GST turnover and financial turnover. The turnover you have shown in your profit and loss account will be different from turnover you have shown in your GST returns. So it needs a reconciliation. It needs a reconciliation why difference is there. Why turnover in GST is 1 lakh, why turnover in financial books of account is 70,000. So this gap of 30,000 will be reconciled, and this reconciliation is done in GSTR 9C. It's a reconciliation statement for turnover as well as for ITC availed or utilized. So in books of accounts, if your ITC is for the whole year is 1 lakh rupees, but in GSTR records, if your ITC is for 70,000 rupees, then you have to mention difference why it is. You have to give a reconciliation for that. And this returns, both of these returns shall be filed by 31st December of the next year. Means for 24-25 financial year, the last date of filing GST 9 and 9C is 31st December 2025. For 23-24, last date is 31st December 2024. So these two returns are supposed to be filed together on the same day after having summarization of all transactions during the year duly reconciled with your books of accounts. So there should not be any mismatch in that. And if it is there, then reconciliation should be there. Another return is GSTR 11. It is a return to be filed by a person having unique identification number. So friends, if you remember in GST registration, if any foreign agencies are working in India, like UNO agencies, embassies, so these are having special status under GST, and for them all inputs are free from tax. Whatever item they are consuming in India, they will be tax free. But supplier is supposed to charge tax, and these agencies are supposed to pay tax to their supplier, and based upon invoices, based upon the documents, they claim their refund from government. For that purpose, they have to file their monthly returns every month, declaring what they have consumed, what they have purchased during that particular month, so that their refund can be established. So apart from these, there is another important return, that is GST 3B. We will discuss in today's presentation only. So GST 3B is directly linked with your GSTR 1. In GSTR 1, I am just declaring my liability, but in GST 3B, I am paying my liability based on what I have declared in my GSTR 1 return. We will see that also, because in GST 3B, I am also availing the benefit of ITC. If you remember, I mentioned that whenever you are having your output liability, while meeting this liability, first you have to check your ITC balance. You have to address that one, and if still balance is there to pay, then cash will be paid through GST 3B. So all these tax liability and payment of tax liability is done through GST 3B on monthly basis. So friends, till now we were talking about GSTR 1, wherein I mentioned you that we declare all my sales along with other information like HSN code, SCC codes, debit note, credit note issued, and sales are of interstate in nature, intrastate in nature, to a registered person, to unregistered person, deemed export, export, and so on. So that is a summary of my total sale which fixes my tax liability also. And there is another statement, it's not a return basically, it's a statement under GST, that is GSTR 2B. Along with, we also talk about GSTR 2A. So these are two statements which are very, very relevant from buyer's point of view. As in supplier, I file GSTR 1, wherein I give my sale summary, sale details. So friends, if you remember section 37, subsection 1, in one of the lines is talk about the same may be intimated to the recipient well in time as may be prescribed. So intimation to recipient means what? So friends, once as a supplier, I file my GSTR 1 on 11th, on or before 11th of next month. For the month of July, I will file this GSTR 1 by 11th of August. So when I will submit this GSTR 1, it will convert into GSTR 2B for recipient or the buyer. Means, as a supplier, if I have supplied goods to Mr. A, who is a registered person under GST, in my GSTR 1, I told you that in GSTR 1 I will fill details invoice wise. So in my GSTR 1, if I raise bill number 005 to Mr. A, who is also a registered person under GST, I will mention bill number 5, name of Mr. A along with his GST number and HSN code of my goods supplied to Mr. A, value of the goods, tax rate applicable, tax amount, everything in my GSTR 1. And this information after submission of my GSTR 1 on 11th or after that will be available to Mr. B on his GST portal in GSTR 2B statement. So it means if Mr. A, he is also a GST person, has procured goods during July from different vendors, so all vendors of Mr. A will submit their GSTR 1 by 11th of August, giving all such details which I have filled. Mr. A will get all information consolidated in GSTR 2B. So this 2B will tell to Mr. A how much procurement he has done during the month of July. And based upon this procurement, his ITC for the month of July will be determined. And out of these all invoices got appeared in 2B of Mr. A at GST portal, he will identify where ITC is available and where ITC is not available as per section 16 and section 17. So accordingly, he will fix his net ITC. So GST 2B and 2A are basically a summary of all procurements, all invoices of inputs purchased during that particular tax period or that particular month. So friends, it says GSTR 2B is a month-wise auto-drafted statement by the system for regular taxpayer, means who is a regular taxpayer who is filing GSTR 1 and procuring goods and selling further. It provides eligible and ineligible ITC for each month similar to 2A but remains constant or unchanged for the period. So friends, there is a difference between 2A and 2B. In 2A, my input invoices may be for any tax period. If I go for this 2A, GSTR 2A for Mr. A for the month of July, it may contain details of bills relating to March, relating to April, relating to May, relating to June. But if we will go for 2B of Mr. A, it will contain the invoices raised to Mr. A during the month of July only. So 2B contains detail of previous month only from 11th, 12th, from 12th of previous month till 12th of next month, because it is available after 11th. So practically it is available on 13th of next month. So 2A can have invoices of previous tax periods also, whereas 2B has invoices of last month only. But all tax periods return, these statements of 2A, 2Bs are available on GST portal. We will see when we will study GST portal also. So it is a summary for a buyer to see how much he has procured, from where he has procured, how much value is there and how much ITC is there, and out of that total ITC, how much is eligible ITC and how much is ineligible ITC, so that I put forward my claim with the authorities and I am in a position to work out what is my tax liability and what is ITC available to me and how much cash I needed to be deposited for payment of my tax liability. So this statement is important from buyer's point of view, and if there is any, it happens so many times that you have received the bills from your supplier, you have received the goods from your supplier, but that bill, that amount is not appearing in your 2B on GST portal. It happens so many times, or 2A also. So in that situation, first step is immediately correspond with your supplier. There is a possibility when he was filing his GSTR 1, he forgot by chance to upload your bill, the bill raised to you. That is one reason that your 2B will not be having detail of that invoice. Another case is that your supplier put GST number of some other person, or while filling your GST number, he done some mistake. But if he using some software for uploading invoices, then chances are very, very less. So it means every month you have to reconcile your 2B also. Otherwise, it will be a loss for you. If any bill is not available and you have received that goods and you have received the bill and you have made the payment also to your supplier, but that bill is not appearing in 2B, and one of the condition of section 16 is that bill must appear in 2B. Otherwise, your ITC can be denied. So friends, from buyer's point of view, GSTR 2B, though it is not a monthly return, it is information auto-populated from GSTR 1 of your supplier. Friends, when GST was introduced, with effect from 1st July 2017. In returns, we were supposed to file GSTR 1, GSTR 2 and then GSTR 3. This was the original plan under GST. GSTR 1 was your outward supply detail. GSTR 2 was your procurement details, means whatever you have procured during the period. And GSTR 3 was accumulation of these two plus cash payment of your taxes. This 3B was a statement or a return for your tax liability and tax payment after consideration of your ITC available under 2B and then cash payment. This was the original plan for filing returns under GST. But friends, some of the other reasons we filed GSTR 1 for July 2017, but due to some technical glitches at GST portal, we were not in a position to file GSTR 2 and GSTR 3B. And we never filed these returns. These returns never seen light of the day. So, at that point of time, during August 2017, government came out with GSTR 3B via media to collect taxes, because GSTR 3 was there for payment of taxes, but it could not work. So it could not work, so they came out with solution. Temporary solution was there of GST 3B. So even today also we are not filing GST 2 or GST 3, and later on these concepts were eliminated from GST Act, and today we are having GST 1 in line. We have GSTR 2B and 2A in line, and then 3B is there in line. So T2B was launched in August 2020. Before that, there was no such type of statement of 2B. So as I told you, then when GSTR 1 is filed, after that GST 2B is generated. So 2B is available for any buyer of goods or services after or as on 14th of next month. Because for July, supplier will file its GSTR 1 by 11th, and there are some other suppliers, we will talk about that also. Those are supposed to file their GSTR 1 or IFF by 13th. Invoice furnishing facility, that is another mechanism under GST for filing returns. So regular dealers can file their GSTR 1 or IFF. GSTR 1 can be filed by 11th, IFF can be filed by 13th. So after having these two statements or returns filed on GST portal, GSTR 2B is generated for buyer so that he can work out its ITC.